Hi, I'm Nicole Baker, and I was asked a couple months ago now to do to give the meditation at a Lenten luncheon service, and started writing what I was going to read a couple weeks ago. Soon after it was announced that we were going to have to be canceling the lunches. So I'm videotaping something. And at first I was going to just read what I was writing, but I thought instead I could share how I've been spending some devotional time during Lent this year. I've been using doing the photo a day work that has been recommended or given to us to do, and using these cards from A Sanctified Art. If you didn't get cards before the church temporarily closed, you can still see the daily prompts online on the Trinity website. Clara Lee has been putting them up. And if you haven't been doing them all along, it's never too late to start. Just like with faith, you can jump in at any time. So I'm going to show you the journal that I've been working on. It's mixed media, so I'm doing some painting and some collaging and some writing, just kind of taking some time every day to focus on the prompt and the prayer and the scripture. And for me, it's been a really important way to keep me grounded and keep me focused on what the wilderness that we're in, but the promise of being out of the wilderness eventually. So I'll show you some of the pages that I've worked on. Thanks. This is the journal that I'm using for my daily Lenten devotion. And as I said, they're based on the cards from A Sanctified Art. The theme they chose for this Lent is words for the wilderness. And little do they know how telling that theme would be, and how accurate a description it might be of what we are all going through right now. The first card that Trinity chose for the Ash Wednesday devotion, and to kind of bring us into this period, read, "Do not be afraid." And again, it was chosen, I'm sure, long before we had any idea of what we would be going through, but is really speaks to, I think, what a lot of people need to hear right now. And the verse is Matthew chapter 17, verses 5 through 7. It reads, "While he was still speaking, a bright cloud enveloped them, and a voice from the cloud said, 'This is my son, whom I love, and with him I am well pleased. Listen to him.' When the disciples heard this, they fell face down to the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. 'Get up,' he said. 'Don't be afraid.'" A few days later, the prompt was, and this is something that other people are participating with too, and sharing their pictures, photographs that they've taken, or artwork that are evocative of the prompt for the day, poems they've written. And this day's devotion was "My Sibling's Keeper." And Jane Schneelak shared a picture that I think she had taken in Nicaragua a few years ago when she went with Wesley Olin. And thinking about where he is now, where we are now, or at least where he was last I heard, in Africa, I think it's important for us to remember that our siblings are not just the people that we grew up with, or the people that our mothers gave birth to, or even the people in our congregation. We need to remember that they are people known and unknown around the world. And I think we need to respect that and keep that at the forefront, especially now with everything we are going through. This is not just an American problem. This is not just a Massachusetts problem. This is something that we are all in together, and we really do need to be our siblings' keeper if we are going to get through this. A couple days after that, the prompt coming back home a little bit was, I thank my God for you. And some of the other people that are sharing photographs shared pictures of their family and of their church family and friends. And of course, the first thing that came to my mind was my church. I added the ribbons kind of at the end because to me that's one of the most important things about my church right now. And with the general conference being postponed, I think it's as important, if not more important now, to remember that we've made that commitment to LGBTQ brothers and sisters, that we are there for them, that they are part of God's family, and that we, no matter what our discipline currently says, that they are part of our family. So I am grateful that Trinity has made that stand and know that we will continue to do so. I've been able to make something every day, even when it was just kind of a quickie. And I've actually been sharing my pictures with my dad via text, and he's been sharing his photographs with me. I think we commented the other day that this is the most we've texted in our lives. So that's been an important part of this journey and something I'm grateful for. I just wanted to share the last one the page that I did today, about a month later, and which also is meaningful to me. The last meeting that I attended at church in person was for the worship committee, and we discussed what to do with communion, with the growing fear around the coronavirus. And the conversation centered around our next communion, which was scheduled for Palm Sunday. We decided at worship that if at all possible, we would still do the communion, and we would take some precautions, but we acknowledged how important it was and what a meaningful sacrament it was, and a way for us to worship together, despite kind of all the fears that were starting to bubble up. So while that won't happen the way we envisioned, I hope that we still will be able to stay together through this and be there for one another through this, and remember how important our faith is and our community is, and know that we will be able to come together again. Whether that's sooner or later, eventually we will. The prayer for today from a sanctified art reads, God of bread and cup, I am quick to grumble, for the world often tries to convince me that I do not have enough. Turn my fear of scarcity into an attitude of abundance. Help me see that there is enough and that I am enough. Help me to see that even in the wilderness, we do not walk alone. Amen.